There's a lot of reaction to this news tonight, of course, and questions about what this means not only for this election year, but for our country. CENTER Maine's Zach Blanchard also spoke to our political analyst just a short time ago.
I want to start out with just initial reactions, what this means for you on a human level, Garrett.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who's been to many Trump rallies, including one in my hometown of Lisbon, it's horrifying to see, something like that happen to President Trump. But to say that those that I know, and myself included, are surprised, I don't know that many of us are. I think for a long time, a lot of conservative political commentators have been saying that this is a likely scenario. And so what I'm hearing from people is that not many people are surprised, but they are horrified.
Betsy.
Yeah, I think it's a horrific event. There is no place for this kind of violence in politics or anywhere else for that matter. We're glad our thoughts and prayers are with the president, not only the president, but the person who allegedly died, and then the gunman. And the families of those people, because this is a tragedy all the way around. I think, as a human being, this level of violence is sort of what we've been growing in politics. And I think this is the outcome that everyone was afraid of. And it is tragic for everyone involved. And I think it's tragic for our democracy.
And Garrett, Senator Susan Collins speaking out tonight, echoing actually what Betsy just said there, that regardless of your political stripes, this is just beyond the pale and hopefully a moment that wakes us up and perhaps unites us. Is that likely here?
I don't know. I mean, I think and Senator Collins, as always, is probably one of the more thoughtful people in the room, and I'm glad to hear that she spoke out so quickly. But I mean, here's the facts. I mean, this has been brewing for a long time. When people are out constantly calling people Nazis and dictators, and just a few weeks ago we had the Supreme Court decision on immunity, and we had political pundits coming out and say that, well, I guess Biden can bring out SEAL Team 6 on Trump. I mean, this is hyperbole at the highest level, and so we shouldn't be surprised at what we're seeing. I hope that this is a point in time where we can really stop and reflect and say, that we need to take a break from some of the heightened political rhetoric. The other thing that I don't think should be missed, Zach, and I'd like to say this, is that somebody died attending a political rally today. That's something you see in South American communist dictatorships. I mean, the fact that somebody died at a political rally expressing their views and supporting their candidate is absolutely wild. So it's just horrific. I do hope that things simmer down, but I mean, the rhetoric that we have seen is unbelievable.
Yeah, Betsy, what are those international ramifications here?
Well, I think this is a real disintegration of our democracy. And although I agree with Garrett that the political hyperbole has been intense, and he pointed out from one side, it has begun. I mean, we have never seen the level of hatred and spewing and the call to violence from January 6th on about all kinds of people. And so I think unfortunately, it's a natural outcome when violence is the thing that is supposed to be the answer. And so we have a plethora of guns in this country now. We have people calling on guns, concealed, open carry, all that stuff. It says to us, violence is okay, that violence is part of our society, and it's not. And it is certainly not part of our politics. And I agree with Garrett, when someone is killed at a political rally, and I think that there are, this is the kind of thing that we don't see in America. As we think it's come to America, well, it's here. Just like many other things we've never seen before in this country. It's here, and we have to decide as a country, are we ready to step aside, and to step up and say, no, this isn't gonna happen here? Or are we just gonna let it go and continue to snowball the way it's been? I wanna see some leadership. I don't think being in defiance, and I don't think, people putting their fists in the air and all that kind of stuff is a way that's gonna get us to the kind of public discourse that we should and could have in a democracy, and we are the role model for the rest of the world. I mean, we hold ourselves out as the role model for democracy for the rest of the world. And right now, we're a pretty poor role model.
And lastly, I want to tread lightly here because I don't want to completely dive into the politics, but I do want to ask the question of where we go from here. President Biden addressing the country on this, and Donald Trump saying that he's okay and he's going to continue to fight. Does this change the tone of the campaign, Garrett?
I have no idea, Zach. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, you have a Democratic Party in deep disarray. You have, it took President Biden almost 3 hours to come out and say that this was a bad thing, not even a Twitter statement until just a few minutes ago. And then he did come out and issue a statement that I have not had the chance to view. But I mean, we don't even know if President Biden will be the nominee come 3 weeks from now. After that disastrous debate performance and everything that's going on, you can't discount what has happened over the past 10 days in the Biden campaign. And now you have President Trump, who an assassination attempt was just made on his life. I mean, how does this change the campaign? I think what you're going to see is I think President Trump is going up in the polls, and it's going to get even bigger now. I mean, regardless of how you feel about a raised fist at the end of the event, you had a man who just got a hit taken out on his life, come up, raise his fist to the people that were there to support him and say, fight. And that's what the president was displaying, is strength and confidence in what was going on. He wanted people to know that he was okay. And so where do we go from here? I have no idea. We are in the Wild West right now. And I think it's a very precarious time for our country. So anybody who says that they do know where this is going, I don't think they do. We're a few days out from the RNC. We're a few weeks out from the DNC. I think it's the Wild West, and I just don't know.
Betsy?
And I think exactly what you said, Garrett, is the problem. Like, imagine if he had raised his arms and said, stop, we're not going to do things this way. But to raise your fist and say, fight, that is a dog whistle. That's a dog whistle to say, keep going in this direction. Let's keep it, let's keep it on a horrible fighting back and forth. This should be a discussion and a conversation and a decision by the American people. I worry that this is only going to intensify the character of our politics right now, and it's not going to bring it to peace. And we need leaders. We need leaders in the Republican and the Democratic parties to come out and say, enough. Enough is enough. We are not going to do it this way. And to call for calm. We need a Margaret Chase Smith, Martin Luther King moment where people come forward and say, stop, and appeal to our better natures, to our better hearts, and to the heart and soul of democracy. That is what is called for now. And I call on all of our leaders across this state and across this country to go to the American people and say, enough.
All right. Our political analyst, Betsy Sweet and Garrett Mason, thank you so much for your time.